Millions of people denying that climate change is happening, or that it's man-caused. I don't know anybody who denies that there are nuclear weapons.
Good afternoon, this is Dr. Cara Kalin coming to you live from the west steps of the Iowa State Capitol. The orange you see is my umbrella. It's raining out here, so it's been hard trying to get my phone to actually let me do anything on my touch screen while it's raining because I can't hold my umbrella and do it at the same time. So I'm holding my umbrella over my tripod. So that is the Iowa State Capitol building behind where the speakers are going to be. There are several booths around here, but I didn't take time to explore them. I just came down here and started getting set up, and someone brought me their coffee, which is very nice. This is going to be fun trying to do this.
Okay, if you listen up, you can hear the marchers approaching us.
The marchers who have been marching from several days. The marchers are approaching. They will be joining us here. There's a drum there. You've seen that drum in several of the pipeline protests that I've covered.
I just thought I should share with folks.
Okay, they've been marching since Little Creek Camp, 85 miles from here, last Saturday.
So it's taken them a whole
Here
week
they are,
to
you
get
can hear
from
them
there
now.
to here. I'm not sure what. I'm not sure what direction they will be coming from, but when they start, I will turn so I can see them approaching. No, they're coming from. There they are over there. They are coming from Grand Avenue. I see the police car. They are getting a police escort. They're coming. Umbrella, so I can give you a look at the crowd that's behind me.
Join us, crowd, join us. Invest in our future, not fossil fuels. Invest in our future.
Hello.
Windmills, not oil spills.
Windmills, not oil spills. Windmills, not oil spills.
Why don't we get you? Cannot wait. 2, 4, 6, 8. Climate justice cannot wait. 2, 4, 6, 8. Climate justice cannot wait. 2, 4, 6, 8. Climate justice cannot wait. Invest in our future, not fossil fuels. 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 All right, join me in unison. Climate justice unity. 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 4, 6, 8. Climate justice cannot wait. 2, 4, 6, 8. Climate justice cannot wait. 4, 6, 8. Climate justice cannot wait. 2, 4, 6, 8. Climate justice cannot wait. Enough with one word. We are unstoppable. Another world is possible. We are unstoppable. Another world is possible.
Okay. Now
Need an umbrella hat.
marchers are here and we're going to begin this celebration. So, you've all seen that back there with all the umbrellas, what's higher? Any louder? I got no more than this. So, closer. Okay, how about that? All right, you've seen the cables behind you.
Thought I put my umbrella over your head while you did that.
Oh, thanks. Cables. Move on up so we can hear the speakers because we have a whole number of them. And you all know what this is all about. We just welcomed these marchers who have come 85 miles over the last few days. You gotta march. You gotta do something, and this is what they've decided to do. Obviously, much of this started with fights over a pipeline, and pipelines are exactly the wrong thing to do, not just in Iowa, but every place in the world. And that pipeline fight got a lot of people involved, with people from native peoples from all over this country, certainly in North Dakota, but also we have people from our own state. And the first speaker who's going to talk about a Native American perspective on climate change is Shelley Buffalo, who's a marcher.
Thank you, everybody, for coming here today. I have walked all 85 miles from Little Creek Camp near Millersburg, Iowa, to the state capital of Des Moines. And I want to tell you that each step I took was a prayer. It's a prayer for the earth. It's a prayer for all of you. What we are facing here today is not a political issue. This is a spiritual issue. All right, our society is sick, and it's making our earth sick. So one thing that I found when I went to Standing Rock, because I am poor, I live at the poverty level. I'm a minority, I'm a woman, I'm a single mother. So I'm one of the, and I'm a Squawky Indian, I'm Native American. So, you know, all of those means I'm in one of the most marginalized demographics in the United States population. And so I did not think that I had any, I was not empowered. You know, I've been knowing for years, decades actually, since my childhood, that things need to change. But I did not feel empowered to change anything. But I found my courage at Standing Rock. And another thing is that I learned about the power and the healing of prayer. And I want you to keep that in mind. What we are facing now is the ultimate misogyny, and it affects us on the personal level, on the family level, community, city, state, country, and on the global level. All right? Our earth is the feminine that provides everything we need to sustain us. And we have a type of misogyny going on that has no respect for that whatsoever. And we live in a society that does not respect the feminine. And that's what really needs to change. Yeah. This is why I have walked. Yeah. I have walked almost this entire. Yesterday I had to take my skirt off because it got too waterlogged. But I have worn this for the entire march because this represents my womanhood. And this is my perspective, that we really need to bring the world back in balance. This is out of balance. This isn't about feminism or anything political or anything intellectual about that. This is spiritual. So please keep that in mind. We are always praying for all of you. Please find your courage. Even I found it, and I found my voice. Thank you. Now, I do want to give some of my time to Danielle Wanati. She is from the Meskwaki settlement. Please give her ears. I mean, sorry, who she is.
I think she might be tired.
Good afternoon. I'm glad you guys are out here, and I'm glad, that it's not lightning yet and stuff, but this water is a blessing to all of us because our state depends on this water. We rely on our black gold, which is our soil in the state of Iowa. So, this was a difficult time for me, but I understand that I am an Iowan, and I have to stand up for my Iowans. There are a lot more issues that are important to us. On that flag, it says we pride ourselves in our liberties and our rights. And that's what we will do, and that's what this march is doing. It opens up the conversations for this whole state of Iowa, that we do matter. And hopefully this march will let Governor Branstad know that we have a voice, and we matter in this state. And he better recognize that pretty soon. Yeah. My friends, my family that ran to Washington, D.C. with the youth runners, I was one of them, so I helped them. They're in Washington, D.C. right now rallying. And so that's why we're here. I stayed with my Iowa to remain united with you guys. I care about all of you guys and your water and what happens in this state. The governor should think about that also, and the one who is going to be making decisions. I pray for the ones that make decisions in this state. Us as Indigenous Americans, we understand what this nation has done to us, but we're still here and we persevered. We've maintained our cultures. And so when I see what is happening to your rights and your land and your water and how it's not even being protected for you guys, that's not acceptable to me. And us as Native Americans, we've endured a lot. We're still here. We're still here in the state of Iowa. We know what came for us and we survived it. It's coming for you guys next. That's why we need to start standing up together, rising together. My friend Sean, Prolific the Rapper, said, a rising tide raises all ships. And that's what we're trying to do. We're not going to forget about you. We think about you guys when we were on this march, every single one of you. The towns that we walked through, they had some prejudices about us, because of some media that they portrayed us in a bad light out there. So a guy came and talked to us, and we were nothing like that. We knew we cared and we loved this land, and that's what we're doing. We're tired of not talking. We're tired. We want to be heard. We know you listen to us, but we want to be heard. Not just me, not just us that march, but every single one of you guys in this state. In this state, we all matter, and we have a voice. Iowa is the first in the caucuses. There's a reason for that. We have the hearts. We have the minds. We have to start investing in that, in our children. And one of their minds is the cure for AIDS, cancer, Alzheimer's, diabetes, 1 and 2. And we know this, but we have to remember that these guys who are making these decisions for us do not understand that. Pray for them, pity them. They're still human too, that rely on water to live. So all I'm asking is that you are aware of your neighbor, you care for each other, and you show love to a human being that you might think doesn't have it right now. We have to remember our elders. They never forgot about us, and we have to remember them, just like our veterans and our homeless people. They still matter too. My sister, little sister that ran to Washington, D.C., Bobby Jean 3 Lakes, said, we breathe water in our mother's womb before we breathe air on this earth. That's how important water is. So I hope that you can take this back to your households and your communities and light the fires in your communities and start advocating and spreading this word and open these conversations with your neighbors. Maybe ones that wouldn't have thought about climate justice as important, because it is here. We might possibly get snow here in Iowa on Monday. So climate change is a factor in all our lives today if you are alive and living. So that includes all of us here. So I just want to pray for every single one of you guys and your families, and pray that they're all healthy, well, taken care of, that nobody's sad, that all the strifes and turmoils that are in their lives go away in a safe way, and that you guys are all loved today. You all are blessed because this water is all touching you in one way or another. And that's what we hope to accomplish, is bring to light the importance of our water, because we all matter in the state of Iowa. We are Iowa. Thank you for listening to me.
Is this any better? Yeah. Okay. Well, second, we have the backup, and let me talk for a little bit, because I don't know how many people I got the max. This is the maximum. I can't do any better. Okay? Okay. How many people have been here at least one time before? For something? No, exactly. I mean, there was first of all, the Women's March, and then I was here when the teachers were here, when the state decided to go after collective bargaining. Last week there was scientists marching all around. And we're marching because we're pissed off, I think. We're mad. And I think we're mad because government has become so terrible. But let me tell you that it doesn't have to be terrible, because remember, that's what many of them want you to think. Government can't do anything. We need the market. Well, in 1983, a small group of legislators here up in that building, I used to be one of them, David Osterberg's my name, we passed a bill that said, you know, utility companies have to try renewable power. They gotta do it. They don't get a choice. Now, governor at the time was Terry Branstad.
I call him brain dead.
We worked with Terry. We worked with his Department of Economic Development and told him, don't veto this. The utility companies wanted a veto. They didn't get one, because we could show them there might be some jobs in this new renewable energy. But the utility companies hate being told what to do. And so they fought this thing for years and years and years. They won a court case. We had to come back and rewrite the law to say, all you got to do is have 2% of your electricity come from renewable sources. 2%, that's it. Well, Iowa now has 36% of its electricity. That's an idea of government working for you. And all we did is to say, you got to try it. You got to try it a little bit, and then depend on them to find out that all the lies, like people like Dick Cheney, I don't know what he said, but it was like, you're all going to live in caves if you can't possibly do it with renewables. Yeah. You can do it with renewables. And one last thing on this, something that I put out, I work at something called the Iowa Policy Project, and we, every once in a while, will say, let's look at electric rates in Iowa, and you can find, and this is the Energy Information Association, agency, part of the Department of Energy, still, I hope, and you can find a number that says, what is the average cost of electricity in each state? Counting mid-am, which is pretty cheap, Alliant, which is really expensive. A municipal utility in Ames, pretty cheap again. You put them all, and you take residential, and you commercial, and industrial, and you have one number. And that one number says, how does Iowa rate compared to all of the other states? Good, that's good. Compared to all the other states into the nation. When we started the wind industry in 1998, 1999, when the first big wind farms went in at Clear Lake and Storm Lake, we were about 1 cent per kilowatt hour lower than the national average. For a 1,000 kilowatt hour user, that's $10 a month less, okay? We're now 2 cents a kilowatt hour lower. We're like 20 cents, $240 a year cheaper on average in Iowa compared to all the other states in the union. And when I looked at that number and saw it was getting further apart, going from 1 cent to 2 cents, I thought, well, maybe that's inflation. But when I discounted it and brought it back to 2015 numbers, you find that the cost of electricity in Iowa, 1998, 1999, was the same as it is now. In fact, it's a tiny bit lower now. And how many things can you say that about after that many years? So what it says, I'm not telling you the wind power has brought the price down. I'm saying wind power sure didn't hurt. And so those people who say you cannot do renewables, we have to be stuck with coal, we have to make electricity in a way that is very dirty and pollutes the local environment and causes climate change. You can't do it. We can do it. I was already shown you can, and you can do it cheaper. And speaking of cheaper, Tim Dwight is now going to talk about not wind, but solar. An area where prices have just come down and down and down, and Tim, who's also responsible for part of the, the AP stuff here, so be nice to him, because he could take it away if we weren't. Tim Dwight is now going to talk about solar. He's a solar developer. He's from my university. I also teach at the University of Iowa.
Hi, guys.
And was one of those football heroes, NFL hero. That's why we all like him to get up and speak, because people just like him right away. And he has a great message besides.
Thank you, Dave. I appreciate I apologize, my solar batteries aren't charged. So we got a bigger speaker here ready. Hey, thank you for coming out here. It's exciting to see everybody getting engaged. I didn't know much about climate, I didn't know much about I don't need that. I didn't know much about energy. I didn't know much of anything. I was a football player, ran track at Iowa, went to the NFL, played 10 years, and I took a year off and did some soul searching, whatever I do the rest of my life, and I had an opportunity to go to 2 USO trips to Iraq. And on the first trip to war, as a civilian, you really don't know what to expect. You're looking at all these. Can you stop doing that? Thank you. You look at all these military planes and all these troops and all this food and all this energy and all this waste and all that. And you travel around these Blackhawks and you see our military people out in these fobs and out in the dust and the dirt and nothing. And you go back to Kuwait City on your way out and you hand $100 over because you're going to go out and have a beer or so, and they give you $25 back Kuwaiti. And you realize, wow, their money's worth 4 to 1 because they pull that resource out of the ground. And I just came back from a war zone. I saw our men and women over there fighting for this and then coming back here and committing suicide. So I went back over on the second trip and I really started to look. I really started to pay attention to what was going on because I got introduced to a solar company back in 2008, 2009, and I was like, this might work in Iowa. We got a lot of sun, I played a lot of football, a lot of hot Augusts, and I was like, there's really nothing to this module, right? It's got to be everywhere. Plasma TVs, the computer's already scaled. So I went back on the second trip over there and I really started to look. And the amount of money that we waste, and the amount of resources, the people that we waste for this resource that runs the world, it's got to change. It's got to change. And I said, I got to change it. So I came back from California, bought into this company. I came back the last 4 or 5 years. I've been busting my butt up here trying to get tax credits passed, trying to get policy passed, trying to keep the utilities in line. Because solar power is coming, regardless if people like it or not. If they don't like it, that's tough shit. It's coming. It's coming fast. I had a couple lobbyists talk to me and they said, hey, what do you think you're going to do in solar? I said, we're going to build this industry here. We're going to get people investing. Not just these big wind turbines, but we're going to get local people investing. Because when I went to Iraq and Afghanistan, in Iraq, I saw all that oil money. I'm like, we need to change that. We need to bring that back here. So I said, well, we're going to draw a line in the sand, and we're going to fall on our sword. And I said, I'm going to walk right past you with a solar module, sir, because this industry is real. It's creating a ton of jobs in rural Iowa. It's modernizing our grid. It's making it more stable, more reliable, more robust, more powerful, and it's clean. So we got to get done with all these wars about, resources. The world's exploding with population. Solar is one of the big answers to that issue on climate change. And it's going to be great. So we all got to keep investing. We all got to keep fired up. Keep momentum going. Get people involved. Educate people. That's the one thing that frustrated me about the most I talk to people about climate change is just look what happened to the ozone layer back in the 70s and 80s. We changed that so we can affect climate. Like we did the ozone layer, we're affecting it now. You look at the ice caps, they're melting. We're just seeing the beginning of it. We're in for a tough ride. We're going to really see what humanity is really made of in these next 20, 30 years, because what we've already put in that atmosphere, it's coming down on us. So, but we've got a chance. We got to come together. We got rallies like this. We got to stay together. We got to push. We got to get up to the Capitol here and talk to people. Come on up on Solar Day. It's like the first week in January. We have a good time. We talk about solar, educate people on solar modules, the technology, what the investment is. And the investment in solar now in Iowa is at least 10% return on your money. Guaranteed. So you tell me where you put your money in the market that can guarantee you that. It's a great investment. Right? So you got to look at solar in different types of ways too, socially, economically, investment-wise. This technology is real, it's stable, it works, and it's happening right here in Iowa. So thank you very much. Let's go solar.
Hey, Tim, thank you very much. And Tim just said, get up here and say something to your legislators. And I said, government can work. Doesn't always work. Hasn't been working lately. But we got two people who are going to say something about government because they're in it. David Johnson, friend of mine from West Branch, used to be the editor of the West Branch Times. Now a state senator way up north. Go ahead, David.
And an independent. Hey, I hear a lot about clean water. My message to you is that clean water doesn't mean safe water, and we're entitled to both. So remember that about what's going on behind us. It's taking over control of something that should be a local issue, but it's a world issue too. But it's just, we have to stop this. Anyway, here's what you do. Run for office. You have to run for office to make a change. Find somebody to run for office. We need some new opinions. We need some new leadership. And they only gave me 1 minute. Go to town halls. Be polite. But be persistent. Getting coached back here. Be persistent. And if it doesn't work, quit talking about decommissioning nuclear plants and decommissioning this legislature.
Yeah.
Real change, not to make light of nuclear. But anyway, that's what you have to do. You got to get out there. Don't wait to just come here during the session. You got to nail people before session. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm working for all of you, regardless of party.
Senator David Johnson. The next senator up here is Rob Hogue from Cedar Rapids.
Today, Rob Hogue, State Senator from Cedar Rapids and the Senate Democratic leader. And I want to thank you for being here today to stand up for the climate solutions that work. We need to leave the fossil fuels in the ground and embrace the climate solutions that work. Renewable energy, natural resource solutions that work, transportation solutions that work, farm solutions that work. And all of this stuff works, but what's not working? The legislature. The legislature's not working. Branstad and Reynolds are not working. Congress is not working. Donald Trump is not working. What we need to do is we need to get engaged and stay engaged and build the momentum. Reach out, listen, educate, unite, build a majority of people before Trump ruins our country, our democracy, our planet, and our future. Together we can do it.
Did you hear that? All right. The next speaker we have is Reverend Wendy Abramson. She's an Episcopal priest from St. Paul's Episcopal in Grinnell. She's twice been to Standing Rock, and she lobbies for the Episcopal Church, and she is going to tell us something.
Hi. Very glad to be here, and I'm speaking for the faith perspective, and I make no pretense to speak for all faiths or people of none. I can only talk about my little corner. But if there's some wisdom for others there, I hope that's received, and I'm happy to receive from everybody of all belief and those of non-belief too. My people are called Christians, and we read a book occasionally called the Bible, and it's got a little summary of creation. And in the first 10 sentences, 6 times it says that God says creation's good. God separates land from water, and God says, this is good. God makes the sky. What does God say? Good. God gives us light. What does God say? Good. God then makes all the growing things, all the vegetation, and all the fruit, and all the vegetables, and God looks at it and says, and then God makes the creeping things that creep upon the earth and in the sea. God looks at those and says, and then God takes a little bit of mud and makes a little being and breathes a little life into it, and it's pretty good.
Jury's still out.
Jury's out. Jury's out.
Someone said jury's still out on man.
Gives this little being
That was a
two
reference
simple
to the creation of
projects.
man.
Love God and love your neighbor. Well, we already know that creation is good, right? Because God has said that. So obviously, we got to treat it right. We got to treat it like it's good. And when we treat it badly, guess what happens to our neighbor? Wow. Well, let's see. If we choose the cheap route, we'll put our pipeline right by Standing Rock, right? If we choose the cheap way, we'll make really interesting water for the people of Flint. We can have a whole list. These are just the recent ones. But it's not a complicated issue, and it's not just for people of faith, and it's not for people of one faith. It's for everybody on the earth. We gotta love the earth. And that's how we take care of one another. And sometimes that means it actually is going to cost a little bit more, but it's worth the price. We can't make decisions about the environment based solely on economics. We gotta pay for the earth. It's not free. It was given free, but it's costly and worth protecting. So to my people out there, those of you who are Christian, we know, love God, love neighbor. To people of other tribes, I look forward to your stories, and I'm sure they're similar. And for those of you who have no belief system but who love this planet, I thank God for you. And pray that we will all take care of it and one another.
Wendy, that was great. And we are going to move next to D'Artagnan Brown, who is, we need, somebody back there said we need a little music at this point. And D'Artagnan Brown, blues, rock and roll, jazz, he does all of those things. And he's in Hall of Fame, Iowa Hall of Fame for all of those. And I actually heard him when I was marching with these guys.
Yeah, D'Artagnan!
I was so tired, I was in my tent. He brought me out of my tent. So do you need me to hold something for you? Okay, D'Artagnan Brown setting up.
Bless you. Thanks for being here. Glad to be here. Make a little bit of noise.
He did that off singing in the rain. Yeah, to get his guitar out of his case.
Life is very abundant right now. On all of us.
Get it on.
Adjusting his
All right, can you hear that a little bit? Trying to help out.
maybe use a bullhorn for the guitar.
We've been up at this Capitol a lot of times this year, trying to talk sense to some people. But it looks like at this point, it's going to have to be quiet and silent. Because it's just seeing and not going to listen. But that's okay. They'll hear it. They'll hear it on the level of peace. They'll hear it on the level of their soul. They'll hear it on the level of honesty. We showed it 50 years ago up on those steps. We had to tell them.
Sorry about that.
Stop that door. This song we're going to do, it comes to us from our brothers and sisters over in South Africa. By a guy named Lady Sifra. And I'm going to have a little bit of help from my friends up here. Say hi to Heather. Say hi to Aaron. The higher you build your barrier, the taller I become. The more you try to take my rights away, the faster I will run. You can deny me, you can decide to turn your face away. No matter, 'cause there's something inside so strong. I know that I can make it, though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone, oh no. Something inside so strong. Something inside so strong. The more you refuse to hear my voice, the louder I will sing. Well, you hide behind walls of Jericho, but your lies will come tumbling. You take my place in time, you squander wealth that's mine. Our light will shine so brightly it will blind them. Something inside so strong. I know that I can make it, though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone, oh no. Something inside so strong. Something inside so strong. Brothers and sisters, they insist we're just not good enough. We know better. We'll look them in the eye and say, we're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. We're gonna do it anyway. Cause there's something inside so strong. I know that I can make it. Though you're doing me wrong, so wrong. You thought that my pride was gone. Oh no.
Something inside so strong. Something inside so strong. Something inside so strong. Something inside so strong.
Wind is starting to pick up a little bit, so I apologize for the wind noise that may be coming, because it's blowing right at the end of my phone.
Well,
The mic
got
is.
some union people out here? Yeah. Got any union folks out here? All right. Stand tall, stand proud. There once was a union man who worked both night and day. He worked real hard to please the folks each and every day. But Terry came along and took his rights away. And this is why we're here today, to tell those clowns no way. Oh, you can't scare us. We're sticking to the union. We're sticking to the union. We're sticking to the union. Well, no, you can't scare us. We're sticking to the union. We're sticking to the union. Humanity. There once was a union gal. She was tried, she was true. She worked real hard to please the folks, but Terry came and got her too.
Terry is a reference to Terry Branstad.
Who he had to ride. He only seems to care about big money boys on high. You're looking at the union. We're sticking to the union. We're sticking to the union. Oh, you can't scare us. We're sticking to the union. We're sticking to the union. Humanity. Terry's got it done. I'll start that one again. Want to make sure you heard. Oh, Terry's got a gal. Convenience is her name. I've asked around to all the folks, but no one seems to know again. I guess that we will have to go and see her too, and tell her if she thinks we're done, she'd better bow too. Oh, you can't scare us. We're sticking to the union. We're sticking to the union. We're sticking to the union. Oh no, you can't scare us. We're sticking to the union. We're sticking to the union. Humanity. Oh, be happy. Don't let him steal your joy. Don't let him steal your joy. Don't let him break your heart. Squinty-eyed, we just want to hurt you, but your smile's gonna tilt him to the side. Yeah, so no, they can't scare us. We're sticking to the union, sticking to the union. We're sticking to the union. Well, you can't scare us. We're sticking to the union. We're sticking to the union. Humanity. Yes, humanity. Thank you. Hey. No. I've been gone for a few years, and back in hometown, several blocks from here where I was born, went to school, all of that, and I was slightly appalled at what I was able to say, where's my Iowas? But here they are. And life is raining down literally on us, covering us, blessing us. God bless you all. Yes. Time is funny. It always seems to go right on. Leaving the happiness, yes, and the sorrow, into a tapestry of strength and love.
I said strength and love into a tapestry of love. Strength and love. There's a feeling when you're on the right path. It's all right there, and you know it. No one needs to tell you which direction's right. And at the bottom of it all, there's a spirit, and you got it. At the bottom of it all. Yes, at the bottom of it all. At the bottom of it all. Yes, you know there's a spirit, and they can't hurt you. Woo! Water is life. Please rain down upon me. Blessed rivers from the Missouri to the Mississippi to the Pacific to all the Colorado, drifting down on an inner tune in the summertime. Blessed waters. Why do they have to try to kill Mother Nature? We won't let them. We won't let them. They won't even try. At the bottom of it all. At the bottom of it all. Ooh, at the bottom of it all. You know there's a smile. Thank you very much. And the guy doing vocals behind him was Ed Fallon. Ed's the guy that marches. I've been on plenty of marches with Ed. This is one of the wettest ones.
Ed Fallon is also the founder of Bold, Iowa.
Power we have in these machines, so I hope you can hear.
The
and
Bold
our
Alliance.
next speaker, I hope you hear, is Ellery McAllister. She is from Roosevelt High School here. She was important in getting the Des Moines Sustainability Task Force together about a year ago, working on climate change. So I assume I'm the oldest speaker, and here is the youngest speaker, Ellery.
Can everyone hear me? Do I need to speak up? All right. My name is Ellery McAllister. I'm a 15-year-old student and a sophomore at Roosevelt High School. I've lived in Iowa my whole life. Here in Des Moines, we have people from all over the world, of different ethnic backgrounds, of all different genders, all different sexualities, and with different economic levels. A year and a half ago, I joined Des Moines' division of iMatter, a group that empowers youth in a world where the adults right now are failing to protect the climate. Last April, iMatter gave a report card to the City Council about our energy use. We got a C-, which is
And I
better
was
than
there
it could
for
have
that
been,
meeting.
but that C- Earth is the one that I'm inheriting. I'm sure that that's not the future you want for your children. Climate change is really about the haves stepping on the have-nots. And though I may be a queer woman living under Trump, I cannot deny that I am a have. The car I drove here in was powered on the backs of poor women across the globe, members of my family, our family, that are being left behind. So many have had everything taken from them. What are we willing to give? Youth from iMatter have teamed up with other groups in Des Moines to form a climate action coalition. We hacked a city council meeting and convinced them to create an official sustainability task force. Now we need researchers and activists to help task force members move Des Moines toward a better future. We as a city need to do our part to keep the climate movement on track while this administration is doing everything to derail it. We may be suffering on a federal level, we may be suffering on a state level, but the local level still has hope and still has opportunity to make change. Both youth and adults can join the task force and change the world for future generations of children. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And, well, it says on my calendar, let's go with what it says here. And after Ellery, we have Patty Edwardson, who is a farmer, and it's good. We're in Iowa, after all. We better hear something about farming and climate change and how it might go together, and how it probably doesn't go together now, right?
Thank you. Hello. Hello. I am a farmer. I am here today to ask you to join the fight for food sovereignty, the right of people to make democratic decisions about their own food and farming policies. We need to be able to democratically elect public officials who have the power to change economic equation of our agricultural economy to one that supports farmers rather than international free trade and corporations. However, the conditions of climate change make this work even more challenging and urgent. The deepening conditions of climate change are already devastating farmers in parts of our planet, and will be economically and socially devastating in the future. Growing crops and raising livestock will become even more precarious and risky than usual. The result will be individual farmers leaving their land, rural economies disrupted, and millions more people facing starvation. Ironically, agriculture is considered a major cause of climate change. But don't be misled by this fact. It is the system of industrial agriculture that dominates our food production here in Iowa and around the world, and led by powerful transnational corporations and the politicians and agribusiness promoters who support them with the false premise of feeding the world that most negatively impacts our climate. Industrial agriculture is an extractive industry, mining our soils for bigger and bigger yields. Here in Iowa, we have torn up permanent pasture and reduced our crop rotations to just 2 annual crops, and put meat, milk, and egg-producing animals in confinements. Band-aid approaches to soil and water quality and technological fixes to animal confinements are not enough to overcome industrial agriculture's negative effects. The good news is that we can change that system. With food sovereignty that includes political and economic positions that recognize the benefits of smaller, diversified farms with animals on pasture and in paddocks instead of in confinements, agriculture's impact on climate can be positive. As stated by Food First and La Via Campesina, it is time to reverse the trends of industrial agriculture. Diversifying our farms can actually help cool the planet and produce our food using carbon capturing agroecological principles. By supporting farmers around the world and challenging the economics of corporate-controlled industrial agriculture with our food choices, our impassioned voices, grassroots organizing, and people power, we can have a food and agricultural system that is a positive force for farmers and against climate change.
Well, great. I think that many people believe exactly what we just heard.
Have a big gust of wind. Sorry about that.
Is another person who's
the wind is blowing directly at my tripod.
Mateo Abdul Samad. He's from the House side, and he's from here in Des Moines, and he is going to say a couple of things about. And now he has a bullhorn as well as this. Well, let's see who's louder. Mateo.
Can you hear
hear me? Yeah. Make it sound it. This is a beautiful day. Can you hear me? Before I get started, I want to bring Jada and her sister. Will y'all come up here? Come on now, don't be embarrassed. Come on now.
He loves to bring kids up with him when he does things.
Another lady back there with a sign right there with the children on it. If you come down, right here. Come down. And bust it. Come on. First of all, I give honor to God. That's my discipline. Second of all, I want to give Ed Fallon a round of applause and a hand. It is a team effort, but you always need somebody to lead the team. So y'all sounded weak on that. Give Ed a hand.
Ed Fallon is also a former legislator.
The other thing I want to say very short is that we're standing here today. And when I drove up, somebody said the numbers aren't great. I say to you, don't count on numbers, you make numbers count. We don't worry about how many. If we go do our work, we don't have to worry about numbers. Because we're standing for what matters. We're standing for what's right. We're standing today. And I'm not worried about the rain, because if we don't do what we're supposed to do, we won't even be able to come outside. I'm not worried about the rain, because if we don't do what we're supposed to do, we won't have water, clean water to drink. If we don't worry, I'm not worried about the rain, because I want to make sure that our babies don't have to stand out here in another 10 years fighting for clean air and dealing with climate change. Because we're going to do our job. We're going to create a path for these babies to be able to correct what is right, because you are going to make a difference. You are going to go and lead this rally. And you're going to meet with your neighbors. You're going to meet with your legislators. You're going to meet with people who don't understand, and you're going to educate them, because you're about doing the work. You are the activists to make change. And we're not going to let people talk down about being an activist. Activists have changed the world. Activists have created free breakfast programs. Activists have stood up and made sure that the pipeline was noted and educated people across this country. Activists have stood up to make changes, and you don't worry about what people say, because you're willing to stand for what matters. When people talk negative to you, you look at people and you smile, because you know what is right. Because let me tell you, love does trump hate. I'm not worried about the President of the United States, because if we do what we're supposed to do, it'll be a one-term president. We have to understand that when we talk about putting politics ahead of our babies, then we have created a mindset that doesn't dictate what our future is going to be. Our babies are our future. Children are our future. If we don't educate one another, then we lose. I want you to understand as I close, and I heard last night when I went to Pleasant Hill, I heard one of my Native American sisters. She said, one of the problems is that you don't understand me, because history doesn't teach you about me.
That's right.
History doesn't teach anyone about each other. They keep us dealing with each other on a cosmetic level. And you know what happens, men and women, you know what happens when you put the cosmetics on. You can wash it off at night. But when you have systemic change, that's permanent change. So that means we have to understand our differences so that our similarities have substance. different from you. But not as a human being, but my culture is different. Don't be afraid of that culture. You're not afraid because I'm Muslim, that I'm African American. What it is, you learn it as a learning tool. I'm not afraid because you're a white woman. I want to learn what your pain is. I'm not afraid because you're Latino or you're from Meskwaki. I want to learn so that we can join forces, but we have a greater issue to fight for instead of letting people turn us against one another. I'm your brother, not your enemy. You are my sister, and you are my brother, not my enemy. So I'm not going to let the clouds of day make you my enemy. You are going to be my family, and we are going to stand together for climate change. We are going to stand together for justice. We are going to stand together for equality. And I'll be damned if I'm going to let someone turn that away to something different. These babies will grow, and when I see them in another 5 or 10 years, they're going to make sure I have Social Security. But when we see them, we're going to see them fighting for what is right because you are setting the example. You are setting the path for them. I say to you all, I came to you in peace. I love you in peace. And we must love one another. And don't let nobody minimize that love. Don't let nobody tell you not to love. Don't let them turn you to hate. Quit talking about Trump. Quit talking about Republicans. Quit talk about climate change. Talk about the policy. Talk about the issues. Talk about our babies. And let's move this. And move this to a whole different level of love. And when I close and I turn my back, I want you to shake hands and hug somebody next to you and say, I love you. I want you. And we will struggle this together. God bless everybody. It's love.
Two more speakers. The next is Michelle, your mother. Michelle has come from another place. He's going to talk to us about how climate change has affected has caused international problems. So, Michelle, here.
Having a technical issue.
Hello, everybody.
Hello.
In the beginning, I want to thank both Iowa for giving me this unique opportunity on behalf of American Syrian immigrants and this major environmental issue that relates to the causes of global warming. I want to comment both Iowa and their wise decision to let us, as Syrian Americans, address this issue because it has been well established by environmental scientists.
Sorry about that. I took a picture and I dropped my umbrella over the lens. Sorry about that.
Is attributed in one strong reason to global warming. There is already some interesting work, not definite but powerful, showing that the drought that happened in Syria contributed to the unrest and the Syrian civil war, said ex-President Barack Obama addressing the South Bay South Lawn event in October last year. Observers suggested that Obama carrying global warming into Syria was part of his administration effort to make it a national security issue. global warming has been claimed to have played a role in sparking the 2011 uprising. A severe drought plagued Syria from 2007 to 2010, as many as 1.5 million people to migrate from the countryside into cities, which is exacerbated poverty and social unrest. That drought was said to have been the worst ever recorded, but it was one in a long sequence. Just in the period from 2001 to 2010, Syria had 60 significant dust storms. The most important physical aspect of these storms was the experience in America in the 1930s. Was the removal of the topsoil politically that triggered the Civil War. It's one of the reasons.